so here we are with tier 7, I guess we're at now, of things that you could spend money on as a new cook or an improving cook or a good cook, or just any way that you could spend money on implements for your kitchen that'll make things go better. I promised you in an earlier video that I would talk a bit about wood cutting boards versus plastic cutting boards. About a generation ago, about 20 years ago, the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, came out with this recommendation that everyone should start using plastic cutting boards as opposed to wood. And I know that a lot of people got rid of their wooden cutting boards. Even my brother, who works professionally in food services at 2 different very busy restaurants in Michigan, was just recently told by a public health inspector that the restaurant had to get rid of its wooden cutting boards and switch over to plastic. What a lot of people don't know, and this is really like the ultimate fake news of fake news, is that the USDA did no research before they made that recommendation. They didn't compare plastic and wood. They didn't look into the science of whether one would be superior or inferior to the other. They just made this recommendation because I guess in their brains it seemed logical that plastic would be cleaner than wood. But guess what? We're from the government and we're here to help you. Such is not the case. And in fact, I would refer you to this study at the University of California, Davis. It was done by Dr. Dean Cliver, PhD. And he actually compared the two. He actually did a comparison. The term that they use is called the amount of bacteria that they can retrieve. So if they've used beef or cut beef or cut chicken on wood and plastic, and then they give it a bit of time and see how many bacteria they can retrieve from the surfaces. And if you can retrieve more bacteria, that's bad. If you can retrieve less bacteria, that's good. So what Dr. Cliver found was that brand new wood and brand new plastic were virtually equal in the amount of bacteria that they could retrieve. However, as time went by and both surfaces got more knife scarred, the knife scarring was key. Both surfaces got more scarred on the plastic or on the wood. Plastic was harder to clean, especially, he said, if there was chicken or chicken fat involved. Plastic was, maybe even not even possible to clean the more scarred it got. Whereas wood, for some reason that I don't know, he could explain it. People who understand, the cell structure of wood might be able to explain. But when bacteria slides into the grooves in wood, the wood essentially holds it and does not allow it to replicate. Whereas when bacteria slides into knife cuts in plastic, it does replicate. So as time goes by, the more knife cuts there are on plastic, the more bacteria is growing within those cuts. As time goes by with wood, that is not the case, okay? So this is Dean Cliver, University of California, Davis Food Safety Laboratory Cutting Boards Research. And I suggest that it's just 2 pages long. Go print it off and read it. You'll be kind of surprised. If it's a restaurant enterprise where you're getting rid of all your wood to replace it with plastic, only to find out that the plastic actually allows more bacteria to grow over time, that's an expensive proposition. In your home kitchen, it's less of an expensive proposition, but still worth knowing. The other thing about wood is, and I do this regularly with my wood cutting boards, is take it out to the garage, to my workbench, and sand it. I sand it down and oil it again, and I'm back in the race. I have maple, which is the best. I have this beautiful one my dad made for me with cutting edges or finger edges on the side so you can pick them up. This one I inherited about 30 years ago. I don't even know where it came from. But if they start to look too beat up or darkened, I sand them. You can't do that with plastic. So these guys are going to be in my kitchen probably till I die. And I'm glad about that. And also I put them through the dishwasher all the time. Like I have never had anything warp in the dishwasher. And also I bleach them. I as I was taught in restaurants, after you've used chicken or beef or anything like that, to kind of scrub them up with steel wool and bleach and dishwashing soap, and give them a good solid rinse with a hose, and then they're ready to go again. And if they start to get darkened or discolored, I sand them down with the maple. I reclamp it, glue it and clamp it. So there's ways that you can clean wood that you can't apply to plastic, and wood holds bacteria and doesn't allow it to replicate. Plastic allows it to replicate. You can't sand it down. And this is kind of crazy. Here's what I found in the brand new cutting board I bought for this video, and also these really cute things that I kind of liked when I first saw them, but I'm not sure I would use them. They're not dishwasher safe. They're made in China, and it says right on the label, you know, not dishwasher safe. So I don't know how clean you could get them if you can't sand them, you don't oil them. The more bacteria slides in, the more bacteria grows. I don't know what the USDA was thinking when they recommended people move to plastic from wood. I liked these. My neighbor purchased them, and I was interested to see that there's like a color-coded set of, they're like almost like a skin. They're like a thin film that you put on top of wood to cut with, that is separate for meat, vegetables, fish, and poultry, so that you don't cross-contaminate your food. But and I thought that, wow, that's new. I haven't seen that before. That's cool. But then again, I flipped them over on the back. They're made in China, and they are not dishwasher safe. Probably don't want to be bleaching them either. So that makes me think that whatever is the coloring, or whatever is the finish of this chopping board, if it's not safe in the dishwasher, if it comes up with your knife and gets into the food that you eat, into your digestive tract, I just am not sure that I want to expose my family to whatever's in this tray that's not dishwasher safe. There's a clear one you can put just right on top of your wooden cutting board, which is what my neighbor does. And, you know, something about this makes me feel not right. This was a huge leap of faith on behalf of the United States Department of Agriculture. I don't know, is this 20-year experiment over? I would say please don't get rid of your wooden cutting boards to move to plastic. If you haven't already, or if you have some, or you inherited some, or if you've purchased some, keep them, okay? And use them and scrub them and put them to the dishwasher and sand them on your workbench and do what you need to keep them clean and safe. I am not going to recommend plastic, which would have to be replaced very often, very often. And I'm not even sure, you know, how clean they can be if they're not dishwasher safe. So, okay, there you go. Check the check the UC Davis study by Dr. Cliver. Read it for yourself. And if you haven't already ditched your wooden cutting boards, or you're about to spend some money on cutting boards, I like my maple one. I whack away at it with the heaviest of knives, and I chop through bone, and I bleach it. I really like my maple cutting board. The smaller ones are great, so I can pick them up and, you know, scrape onions or something into an omelet or whatever on a little cutting board, which is awesome. Make your own decision, but I'm going to say, once you have read University of California Davis's Food Safety Laboratory Cutting Board research by Dr. Cliver, you're going to probably want to hang on to your wood and maybe not so much invest in plastic, okay? There you go, that's cutting boards for you.
I'm so sick of reality.